Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. We wanted to sit down today and talk a little bit about our December Disney trip because I think in the last video we talked about it, we had just talked about that it was changing, we were shortening it, and all that kind of stuff. So things have changed again, and we had been still going to go, even with everything still going on, all the pandemic still going on, because the cases had started to fall. It seemed like things were starting to even out a little bit, and so we were like, okay, we might still be able to go, unless something untoward happens. And something untoward did happen. Florida's cases started to spike. They're getting 10 to 15,000 new cases a day at this point, and so we're like, even by December, there's no guarantee that they wouldn't still be spiking and have it be just not a great idea.
Yeah, and technically I'm high risk, and
yes, because she has asthma and only half a lung on what, your right side?
My left side.
Left side.
But, and like, we're not worried about Disney. That was like the least of my concerns because they're doing a really, really good job there as to making sure everything's clean, people are wearing their masks, and social distance.
For the most part. They're doing better in the parks than Disney Springs, from what I understand. The podcast I listen to, apparently Disney Springs is terrible because people are they're finding ways around wearing their masks by just carrying around a drink all day.
They've actually just announced...
And they did get stricter on it now, but like for quite a while, up until just a couple of days ago, people were carrying around drinks just so they could leave their mask off and be like, oh, but I'm drinking. Yeah,
well, they just announced that you have to be stationary to eat or drink, so you cannot use that as an excuse.
Yep. I did see that, and I was like, okay, but...
Yes, as soon as it popped up, and that's what I mean. Like Disney's
and they did put that in the parks too, but the parks already hadn't been doing as bad.
But Disney's doing a really good job, and as these things are popping up, they're immediately squashing them. So I wasn't worried about Disney. I'm worried more about airplane and airport and all of that crazy.
Well, that, and even in the parks, like, yes, they're doing a really good job, but at the same time, you're still in there with thousands of other people because even though they've cut the number of people that are able to be in the park down, the normal capacity of those parks is like 80,000 per park or something like that. And so even 10% of that is, even if they did 10%, that's still 8,000 people.
Yeah, but seriously, like, if you look at the park,
it looks that right now people aren't going.
It's empty. But that's the thing, is it's not, and it's not a matter of like people aren't going. There's days that they're maxing out their capacity and it's still dead empty. So they are really doing a good job at keeping people away, spaced out, not having it at full capacity. Disney is the least of my concerns. It's getting there.
Well, and the fact that we would be in Florida where cases, they're getting 15,000 new cases a day. There's no guarantee, like, if we're in there and, a Florida resident comes in who happens to have the virus, and then all the, like, it's just not worth it. Like, yes, we may be fine, but it's not worth it.
No.
Like, we're trying to have another kid, and so it's like we would rather be able to have another kid than, get the coronavirus and die or something, that's just something that's, at this point, not worth the risk.
Yeah.
So,
and I think, and that's what I'm trying to say is, like, I really don't think that going to the parks right now is necessarily a bad idea. In fact, like, you can get on all the rides. Like, if you can go, and then go. But, yeah, like I said, I have zero concern about Disney and being in Disney. My concern is getting there, being in the airport, being on the plane with people, and then even being in the Florida airport. And so that's where I have concerns. It's not with Disney. It's with the travel to get to Disney. Yeah. And driving is just not realistic for us.
Not in the time frame that we had. If we had at least 2 days before, well, more after, 2 days beforehand, and then at least, or 1.5-ish or something like that, and then like 3 days after or something like that, so that we could have some rest time afterwards, because it's about a 28-hour drive from where we are. So it's a really long drive.
Yeah.
And we could do it, but we would have to request more time off of work, for one. and it's just a long way to go. It's longer than we wanted to be away from Aiden. Like 6 days was going to be okay, but then you would be extending that out to possibly being away from him for a full 10 days anyway. And so we were just
no, it's not worth it. But
so instead, we are going to, I'm going to email our travel agent at some point and see if she can't move our reservation, our booking out to next year for the 50th. I've already been checking myself on some of the resorts and stuff to see if there's anything available in October around the actual 50th, which would be October 1st. So far, I haven't been able to find anything, but that's not surprising because it's the 50th anniversary of Disney World, so we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll still go next year. It's just like as to whether it's on the 50th like we want it to be, or whether we end up waiting until like November or like December again. That's a whole different story.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see how it goes. But when that happens, when we get something figured out, then we will let you all know. So, anything else you wanted to mention?
Just that we're going to try and keep up with all the Disney news and stuff like that. And
yes.
Instead of doing
kind of our park things, we might just start doing some Disney news and stuff. Throw in some different like Disney movie stuff or something every now and then.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we're going to go with right now is like if we have some Disney news, park news, any updates, things like that we're seeing. I think we'll just kind of be a conduit for that stuff. Just because we can't go there and show you what it's like, and so we're gonna.
And I will say, for a little while, we were I was planning on going by myself, because I had talked to Anna about it. I was like, I could go, by myself and just shorten the trip again, shorten it down to like 4 days instead of the 6. Just go by myself so that I can, go and I can get some videos. And I told her, I was like, I will even, before I go on, if I decide to go on Everest or something like that, I'll video call you. And you can go on Everest with me, or whichever ride it happened to be.
Yeah.
But then the risk got too great. That was right before the cases of the virus started spiking. So I was like,
it's more the risk of bringing it back.
Yeah, I don't want to bring it back to her or to Aiden, or to anybody that I work with,
Yeah.
So, but so the plan is to instead go next year, possibly take your mother with us, depending on if she gets her knee done, because she has to get her knee surgery.
Yes, she does.
And she's been kind of putting that off.
Well, if she hadn't
had this last surgery, then she probably would have gotten it sooner.
Yes. But now she has to wait for her FMLA again.
Yep. So, so for the foreseeable future, we'll just kind of probably do some Disney news and stuff on Thursdays. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all for joining us this week. We hope to see you all again next week. But until then, don't forget to thank the Phoenicians.